The key thing with this GS65 design is despite opting for high quality metal chassis, MSI hasn't compromised the cooling solution. There are still a ton of fans on this system, including the sides, rear, top, and bottom. We've seen with laptops like Razer Blade that a metal design is good, but it can limit the cooler quite significantly. However, this doesn't appear to be the case with the GS65. Despite a significant amount of edge space going to cooling fans, there are plenty of ports on this laptop. 3 USB 3.0 Type-A ports, Thunderbolt 3 USB-C, Ethernet, HDMI 2.0, mini display port, and 2 audio jacks. Unfortunately, there's no SD card slot, which would have been handy for professionals. However, I am glad MSI moved the position of the power button back to a more sensible location above the keyboard. Speaking of the keyboard, MSI has used their standard Stealth series design with perky RGB LED backlighting. Notably, there's no numpad on the GS65, which I tend to think should come with a 15-inch laptop. The Aero 15X, for example, does manage to cram a numpad for a similar chassis. Not a big deal for gamers though, it's mostly a nitpick. Removing the bottom panel of the GS65 reveals a flipped motherboard, unfortunately. While you can see the battery and cooling components, to a small extent, any access to the RAM and M2 slots is fairly difficult as you have to remove the entire motherboard and cooling assembly first. There are a lot of small, fragile connectors along the way, so it's not something I'd advise for the casual user. However, if you do go down that path, you will find a spare M2 slot and a spare DIMM slot. Interestingly, MSI has used a triple fan cooling design, with a single cooler on the left for the CPU and a dual fan cooler for the GPU on the right. The extra fan for the GPU is a bit unique, though the heatsink design isn't anything usual and provides a good amount of find area. Certainly a lot more than the Aero 15X. Before heading into performance, I did want to touch on the display. As I mentioned earlier, it's a 1080p 144Hz display, and while it doesn't include G-Sync, I do appreciate the high refresh rate. I hope this becomes standard in gaming laptops. Like with the bezel size, it's clear the MSI are targeting the Aero 15X with this display's calibration. While not X-Rite Pantone certified, the GS65's display is much more accurate than any MSI laptop I've reviewed in the past. It's not perfect, but an average CCD of 6804K is decent. To go along with the average Delta S of 2.2 in grayscale, 2.22 in saturation, and 2.73 in ColorChecker. For the best results, these figures should be below 2.0 at least. However, considering past efforts, this is a decent improvement. Unfortunately, perhaps as a result of tighter calibration, brightness and contrast are unimpressive. Reaching just 248 nits of peak brightness is not great, and neither is a sub 100:1 contrast ratio. Both of these areas are handily beaten by the Aero 15X, which packs a similar display and somewhat superior calibration. MSI has joined the Coffee Lake laptop party with a brand new gaming laptop, designed to take on the likes of the Razer Blade, Gigabyte Aero 15X, and Asus ROG Zephyrus. This laptop's arrival has been hotly anticipated as it brings new internal hardware, along with a full refresh of MSI's gaming line build and design. The MSI GS65 Stealth Thin is the successor to the company's previous slim gaming laptop, the GS63. The GS63 design was in use for a couple of generations, and now it's been upgraded in many areas. It still uses a 15.6-inch 1080p display, but we're now looking at the slimmer bezels and an upgrade to 144Hz refresh rate. I always liked the GS63 design, but this new GS65 Stealth Thin is simply a class above. It's by far the best looking MSI laptop ever, with an excellent metal shell and subtle yet attractive gold highlights around the lid, trackpad, fans, and more. Almost every area in this slim chassis has been refined. It now exudes premium quality. Small touches like simplifying the logo on the lid and removing other gamer elements have worked wonders. And if you remove the annoying stickers below the keyboard, the minimalist design only becomes more impressive.